So the second question I always get asked about lure fishing. We'll talk about pike today, but the same rules apply to perch and zander as well. Second question I always get asked is what size lure should I use? Because the first question is always what colour. But I'll try and give you some tips and advice on how I approach my fishing really, and hopefully that'll be useful for you. Well, I always start off with the lure that I think is going to be the best, and generally speaking that'll be this. It's the 16 centimetre ShadTeez, and that's in headlight colour. Caught me an awful lot of big pike from a wide range of venues, and that's important because what I'm looking to do when I'm starting, either on a venue that I know or a new one, is I want something, a reference point. I want to be using a good lure. I'm not going to be mucking about, trying stuff that I haven't got confidence in. I will put on the lure that I've got the most confidence on and go from that. And obviously a soft lure, soft shad like this, you can adjust the depth it runs at by the amount of weight you put on. So again, it's a universal lure really. You can use it from anywhere from a couple of feet deep to 40, 50 feet deep without any problem just by adjusting it. Now, I probably have a big advantage really in that a lot of my fishing's from a boat and using an echo sounder. And so a lot of time I'll see fish, and again, it could be pike, could be perch, could be zander. I'll see them on the echo sounder. And so one of the mistakes I think a lot of people make when they're lure fishing is they change lures really not based upon any hard information. Now, if you're fishing with a sounder and you're seeing fish or what you think of fish and you're not getting a reaction, then change lures. Do something different, speed up, slow down, fish a heavier lure, lighter lure, change the size. But if you're just fishing away and you're not seeing anything, then really why change? There's no good evidence that you're going to be making any difference. And to my mind, you can put yourself off certain lures and turn them off for good really, because you've changed when you're fishing an area that could be, have as many pike in it as the Sahara Desert. If you're bank fishing, obviously a lot more difficult, but one thing you'll get from the bank and the boat is follows. And if you're getting follows and not picking up fish, again, it's time to change because you're doing something wrong, but at least you've got some evidence to show that something's not quite right. So if I think there's fish there and I'm not catching, what will I do? Well, I'll go from the 16 centimetre ShadTeez, and depends on the venue, but on a lot of venues what I'll do is I'll step up and I'll go up to something like the 19 centimetre ShadTeez. And the idea being it's just a bigger meal for the fish. If they're sat close to the bottom, not really doing a great deal, a bit lethargic, then perhaps a bigger bait, bigger jig head on it as well, moving a bit quicker through the water. And again, a bigger lure will tend to, with a big jig head, will tend to sit deeper in the water and run a bit truer on your lure gear, because it's having a bigger effect on the resistance created by the braid than a smaller lure is. So it'll run a bit truer. But that'll be the first thing I'll do. I'll go a bit bigger, not massively bigger, but a little bit bigger. Maybe go on to a different colour as well. And generally speaking, if I'm not getting a good reaction, I'll go darker colours rather than light colour. And this pike colour, really, really good one in a range of lures. So that'll be my starting point, but might not work. Then what do? Well, believe it or not, I've had quite a lot of big pike and a lot of good fish on tough days when I'm only expecting 1 or 2 bites by going quite a bit smaller. So I've gone from the 16 and the 19 centimetre, the traditional kind of pike size lures, down to a 12 centimetre ShadTeez. And this is in the official roach colour, another really good one, great zander colour this as well. And I haven't got the stinger on there. There's not really any need when you're pike fishing with a lure that's this small. I'd much rather just keep it well balanced with just a single hook, and that's like a size 5.0 hook on there. And so many times that's made a difference to my catch rate. And while the pike aren't willing to really get fired up by a bigger lure, going smaller, and I'm not talking about small pike, I'm talking about big pike a lot of the time now as well, that smaller lure will fire them up. Now, it does give you the sort of opposite problem that you get from fishing with the big lures. So say I'm fishing with my standard pike gear, which is 30-40 pound braid, 40 pound titanium trace, and my XX heavy power lure rod. So pretty heavy gear really to be using such a small lure. So to get that to work in the same depth zone that you would with a bigger, heavier lure, go with a bit bigger jig head. And that will allow you to fish quite fast, because the last thing you want to do is slow down. Fish it a bit faster and go on to the smaller lure. Now if you're still getting problems and you're still getting follows and not hooking up, then what I would do is step up 1 or 2 jig weight sizes again. So say I was fishing a 10 gram, I might go up as heavy as a 15 gram on a small lure like this and really burn it, really go fast. If you're getting follows in particular, your natural reaction is to slow down to give the pike more time to hit the lure and to zoom in on it. Actual fact, what you'll tend to find is that the pike will just follow it and be absolutely mesmerised by it, but not fired up enough to hit it. And you're going to bring them right up by the side of the boat sometimes, and they just won't take it. So go for a heavier weight, so you can still get the lure down and work at the right depth, but go faster. And it could be 1.5, 2 times the retrieve speed that you would normally use. Don't be afraid to go quite fast. And time after time, that combination of factors, going smaller, going faster, but keeping the lure at the right depth, has made a difference, and it's produced fish on days when they're not really turned onto it and you're otherwise going to struggle. So there you go. Quite a few tips rolled into one there. Hope that was interesting, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers for now.